Hello and welcome. You're watching Game On Hai. And Game On Hai because one of the most emphatic wins by Pakistan in the history of Champions Trophy. And this is for the first time that they have qualified for the finals, beating England massively by 8 wickets and with 12.5 overs to spare. Their performance was unparalleled, and it seemed that they were very much focused, and their bowlers bowled diligently, conscientiously, and most brilliantly. So 3 wickets for Hassan Ali, the man of the match, who obviously dedicated his award to his younger brother celebrating his birthday tomorrow. So of course, on behalf of Pakistan Television Sports, it's congratulations to all of you, and as well as to Hassan Ali, who has come up remarkably well in the last 1 year and is now spearheading Pakistan's bowling attack. He also becomes the highest wicket taker in this ICC Champions Trophy 2017, finishing with 3 for 35 in 10 overs. 2 wickets for the debutant Roman Reis. He got 2 for 44, and Junaid Khan in his 8.5 overs, 2 for 43. So 46 in 56 deliveries coming in from Joe Root for England, and a 43 from comeback kid Johnny Bairstow. But it wasn't sufficient, and today probably another remarkable thing that happened, that Ben Stokes faced 64 deliveries without hitting any boundary in his 34 runs. And when Pakistan started, obviously it was once again their left-handed batsman Fakhar Zaman getting a 58 ball 57 with 7 fours and 1 6, and Azhar Ali a dour 76 in 100 deliveries, and he also hit 1 6 and 5 fours. Mohammad Hafiz joining the party along with Babar Azam, and Hafiz in 21 deliveries scored 31, hitting 2 fours and a 6, and Babar Azam hit 2 fours and a 6. Mohammad Hafiz hit a couple of 6s, and that's how Pakistan triumphed with 12.5 overs to spare. So now we need to discuss Pakistan now qualified for the final. The team that stuttered against India in the first match, there was loads of criticism, and to an extent that the executive committee head of the Pakistan Cricket Board, Mr. June'17, had to tweet that those who criticize the Pakistan team, they hate Pakistan Cricket Board more than they love Pakistan. But sir, we love Pakistan. We love this highly spirited Pakistan team. It was totally different when Misbah Haq was captaining and we slithered down to position number 8, and now we see that Sarfraz is turning it around. A very welcome win for Pakistan, and the way they did it, it's quite remarkable. We have with us the iconic, one of the better captains from Australia of his generation, Ian Chappell. A very good evening, Ian, and we are ecstatic. It was emphatic. It was emphatic.
Terrific victory, Doc, yep. And I put it, I mean, the bowlers really set the victory up, but I thought the captaincy, I think Sarfraz has got better and better with each game, but I was really impressed with his captaincy today. I think he looks to me like a captain who is his own man. He's doing what he wants to do. I thought he handled the bowlers well. The bowlers responded well. And most importantly, I'm not sure I've seen Pakistan field that well. There were some terrific catches taken. That set the victory up, but then the batsmen still had a big job to do. And the fact that they did it emphatically will send Pakistan into the final with a lot of confidence.
All right, and we have with us the one and only, the King, Sir Vivian Richards. How are you, sir? A very good evening.
Well, I'm happy.
You must be overwhelmed that England is out of the finals, huh?
Well, I did predict that if Pakistan brought their A game, that they could accomplish victory. Ian said it all. That was set up basically by that bowling performance and just the way they perform in the field. You would have said that they brought their A game, which helped, in my opinion, to minimize England, who they were batting so well throughout the tournament so far. And I've always felt when you get into the quarterfinals and semi-final stages, you're always a little bit reluctant to go as hard as you do in previous games. And their lowest total in the tournament so far.
Yeah, in the tournament it was the lowest total.
And not the sort of stuff that you would need in a semi-final.
Yeah.
They didn't bring their A game whilst batting. Pakistan capitalized.
All right,
Big
and we
time.
have the princely Brian Charles Lara. Hi, Brian, and good evening.
Good evening.
So, what went wrong with England?
I think they played a better team today.
All right.
As simple as that. England might have been playing very consistent cricket, but we always talked about Pakistan bowling attack, and if they get things right, you know, it's going to be tough for any batting team. and they got it right today. I was pretty much impressed with the selection, because we sat here and we tried to make an argument for Ashraf to be in the team. Because should we leave out Hafiz? Should he Shaddad Khan stay out? Well, Mohamed Amir made a space for him. But the captain and the coach or the selection committee still left him out and brought on Rahman Reyes. And let me tell you something. Where is all this talent that's just sitting down on the bench? It's unbelievable. We had the opening batsman coming in. We had even Ashraf coming in and performing now. Reyes. And I think it's excellent to see the reserves. I don't know anybody get injured for the finals, but I don't know if they have something up their sleeves sitting down on the bench to come in. But it was a spirited performance, and a performance that deserves the victory.
Well, Brian, you just mentioned that where this talent was. This talent was very much around, but probably we had a captain and the management, they were reluctant to install the younger people because probably Pakistan were not performing well. They were going down, and our management was in a catch-22 situation, just to take chance or not. And eventually, it so happened that these boys, they had to come in because of a couple of retirements and obviously a couple of injuries. So they came in, and it's right in front of you, the way they have performed. And this Fakhar Zaman has been around for about 4 years now and averages 50 in the stay. And he has now 2 half-centuries and 35 in his first 3 one-day internationals, debuting in such an important tournament.
Well, it's important. I mean, Savil will tell you that I stayed out for quite some time, and sometimes that period of the team, watching the team, you get a little bit more determination, and hopefully, you know, these guys now have the opportunity seal their position, because it's not going to just come from 1 or 2 good performances. Going on to win the Champions Trophy is great, but you want a Pakistan team that's performing 12 months of the year every year. So they have great talent. Fitness is going to be an issue, as we see. I mean, maybe Pakistan has used the most players for the tournament. I'm not sure. It's between Pakistan and Sri Lanka. So fitness is an issue that we'll have to deal with.
All right. So, Ian, what do you have to say about, like, Sarfraz winning the toss? And everybody expected that Pakistan are not good chasers. And even the stats, as you say, they at times become irrelevant. But the stats also clearly showed that Pakistan, they weren't comfortable chasing. And still he took this chance, put in England, and then the bowlers restricted to 211. So how do you see his captaincy, Sarfaraz's captaincy?
I don't think it had anything to do with Pakistan chasing. I think he bowled first because his bowling is his strength, and he thought that that was the best way to restrict England. And, you know, 1, I think it was the right move, and 2, but you could say it's a brave move as well. But it had a lot of logic behind it, and you know, it worked brilliantly. To me, that was their best chance of victory. If they could restrict England to, I thought, you know, 250 or under, then that gave their batsmen a chance. They did even better than that. And I think the most encouraging thing, Brian's, you know, talking about the bench strength, which has been really important for Pakistan. But also, what has been very good is to see how these young guys coming into the team haven't been overawed with the situation. They've all performed well, and that's quite encouraging. And it should also send a message to the selectors that you never know what youth is going to do until you give them the chance. And these guys have really, you know, they've paved the way for future young cricketers, because I've been really impressed the way they've come in, not been overawed by either the opposition or the situation, and they've all done well. Terrific performance.
And there's another left-handed batsman sitting on the bench, Haris Sohail, who has had a remarkable start to his international career, got injured, now he has made his return to the Pakistan team. So we also have an option in the middle order, but again the same logic that they have to have a blend of experience and youth. So probably that's the reason that Mohammad Hafiz was persisted with.
Yeah, and I mean, the balance of that attack, I mean, it was they had bowlers for whatever the pitch was going to be doing. They had plenty of bowlers to take advantage. And boy, didn't they. I mean, led by, you know, Hassan Ali. I mean, I think the energy that he's brought to the team, and the energy of the skipper, and the fact that he's a good keeper, and that keeps the fielding standard up. I mean, the fielding has just gone, it's improved enormously. I mean, the team that I saw in Australia, you know, was terrible in the field. this team has suddenly started performing really well in the team. And I think a lot of that has come from the energy and enthusiasm of Hassan Ali and the skipper.
Okay. So, sir, how did you see the pitch? Were there any demons? Where did England lose it? It was exceptional bowling. And how did they panic? Because we all were saying, you were contemplating that they could trip. And they tripped massively.
We spoke about that earlier in our program, that if they needed to turn up today, they had was to perform at their very best. They chose the wrong moment, in my opinion, for them to have gotten the lowest total, their lowest total in the tournament so far. And I guess it was all set up by some brilliant captaincy. The bowlers did magnificently well. And that whole fielding performance, you know, it was just as good as any. You know, it's like you were watching maybe a South African team with Jonty Rose and all those guys in it. They were very, 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 very special. And what I think did set things up for Pakistan batting was the fact that the fielding unit performed so well that the batters had no choice but to also match that.
Okay. So, Brian, probably Jason Roy going out of the team also saw England running out of luck. And but how did you see Johnny Bairstow coming, surviving one DRS, and then it seemed that they could organize themselves, but was it only Hassan Ali? And how did you see Junaid Khan's bowling today?
First of all, Johnny Bairstow is a far better batsman than Jason Roy. Just a little bit I saw. I've seen him for many years, but sometimes you want to pick a specialist. But, I mean, he's so well organized that, you know, maybe not having him in a couple matches earlier for him to really get into the groove of the Champions Trophy might have caused this little rusty shutout to deep mid-wicket. But the Pakistan attack has been special, and I must confess, I know Ian also mentioned it as well, or agreed with me, that Hassan Ali should get a couple early up. But he's so devastating. He's a star in the middle overs. He's unbelievable. And I believe that the captain bank on maybe getting an early breakthrough. He has two spinners bowling even before Hassan Ali. So that's the belief that he has in Hassan Ali with an older ball. And I think it was tremendous captaincy from Sarfraz. And I believe that he's going to hopefully go on and raise the trophy, because they're playing intelligent cricket now.
All right.
Their fielding is good. He backed his bowlers to get England out under 250 because he knows it's going to be a struggle beyond that. They did it for him, and the batsman stood up and was counted.
Okay.
But there's a slight improvement in terms of what I guess Bairstow brought to the opening position.
Yeah.
He got 20-odd runs.
No, he got 43, sir.
43 in the end. Okay, well, that's a lot more than that's lots more than
that's more than
Jason.
But he's a better batsman.
Oh,
yes, at the end of the
Jason
day,
had 52 in 8 innings.
Yes.
Yeah. So he had 43 in one outing.
Yeah.
Well, Ian, again now coming on to this part, Pakistan's performance, like we all saw them playing against India. So do you think that they weren't up to it? It was they were overwhelmed, or because we have seen them going down persistently to India and not as spirited as we saw them returning against South Africa, against Sri Lanka, and even today against England was the best. So you think it's a psychological barrier because of the past beatings we have had in the ICC competitions against India, or it's like just it was one odd day?
I expect to see a different Pakistan if India make the final, and I think they will. And I mean, India have a hell of an incentive now. With Pakistan already in the final, they won't want to miss out on the final with Pakistan in it. So I think what Pakistan have successfully done, they've galvanised India, because India, there won't be any complacency coming up against Bangladesh. That's the first thing. But I expect if India do make the final, I expect to see a different Pakistan against India.
All right.
I think Sarfraz was feeling his way a bit as a captain, perhaps a little uncertain, perhaps, you know, doing things that he was told to by the back room. But I saw a captain today who was his own man, doing what he wanted to do, what he thought was best. So I think, you know, I think that's changed enormously since India. I think probably the players now have more confidence in Sarfraz as a captain.
All right.
And, you know, when I thought this was really an important thing, and it was a terrific thing to see. If you go back, if you can get the footage, when Pakistan were leaving the field after having bowled England out, I don't know if you saw it,
yeah.
but Sarfraz, they were letting Sarfraz go off first, And he said, no, no, no. And he brought the bowlers forward. And then, I forget, it was probably Hassan Ali. He called another one of the bowlers forward. And they walked off together, hand in hand, leading the Pakistan team off. And I think that said a lot about the spirit now that's in this Pakistan team. So whatever it was in the first contest with India, I think you'll see a totally different Pakistan against India.
Okay, so Viv, how do you see, in case if India qualifies, they still have to beat Bangladesh, and Bangladesh, they have surprised quite a few in the last year or so.
Ian said it. They'll be feeling, India will be feeling that they must win against Bangladesh. They'll be thinking maybe that the way Pakistan would have performed today, that would have been an upset. They'll be thinking differently.
Right.
They'll be coming with their A game, and it's going to be much harder for Bangladesh, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, but how could you, inside a week, 10 days, you could change that intensity is back, that energy is back, the fielders is up and about, they're taking some spectacular catches, the batsmen, they have a different mindset. So, does it suggest that it was more to do with the attitude and the mindset rather than the skill set?
It's all to do with attitude.
Yeah.
Pakistan have skill, we all know that.
Yeah.
For years, they've produced talented players. I'm not quite sure whether or not they did get it right administrative-wise, but for some reason, we have always felt that Pakistan have an abundance of talent. And I guess that they realize now, after, I guess, they would have overcome South Africa. Little lucky, in my opinion, to have gotten there, and they've rode their luck. And as the games went on, they became better, and they started to believe in themselves. They started to have that belief factor, which is so important. And when you put that belief factor together, and everyone comes together as a particular unit, you hear Ian speak about the bowlers walking in hand, they started to believe now, and if it's an India-Pakistani final, I know it will be a different ball game.
Right.
Confidence, I think, is a big part of what's happened with Pakistan. I think their confidence is right up. Yeah, right.
All right. So, Brian, how do you see this thing? Because, so we've explained it already, that it is all about the attitude. So it is just a turnaround, and it seems to be a little magical, and just like a hyperbole, that one day we thought that they were not playing modern cricket, they were not up to the mark, they were like a typical number 8 team, misfit against India, and Indians ruthlessly pulverized Pakistan in the first match. But then something happens, the rain comes in, we win by Duckworth and Lewis against South Africa, better performance against Sri Lanka, but again, some jitters, some stutter. But today it was like absolutely clinical. So it's just in 10 days one team could progress like this?
10 days. They just came from the West Indies, and they beat the West Indies in all 3 versions of the game. The test matches, the T20s, and the 50-over version. So I'm not sure if we're giving them credit for the place that they were in. You allowed a team that's better than you. India is more favored than Pakistan, and they lost convincingly. It was not the greatest performance. But a good performance is always just around the corner. And I believe that they played cricket equal to the talent that they have had. Okay. And they scratched, they came through South Africa, against Sri Lanka, just got through. But today was, as you said, very convincing. It doesn't take away from the fact that they have to go away, push everything behind, leave this game behind, and focus on whoever they meet in the finals, because they cannot rely on this good performance. Well, we now at peak and we can just do whatever we want. They have to go back and do the same homework that they've done over the last 3 or 4 days in this tournament and carry it through to the finals.
Right, so
when you look at the Pakistani performance itself, the way they started, the way they were humiliated by India, and just as got lucky against South Africa, in my opinion, scraped through against Sri Lanka, they have peaked at the right time.
Okay.
And this is what I guess sport is all about. We look at all the other teams, who would have peaked quite early. Pakistan is just basically peaking at just about the right time.
Yeah.
You're looking for an omen, Doc?
Yeah.
Yeah. You think back to 1992. What happened? They played England, and they got really lucky. Remember, the rain came
74 all
and
out.
they got 1 point each. If they didn't get that point, they don't even get to the final.
Yeah.
But they got lucky there. Yeah. Okay. They perhaps got a bit lucky against South Africa this time. Now they're in the final again. There's your own Doc.
So we should hope for the best now.
You should hope for the best.
And if we could see the fall of wickets in the England innings. So Brian, that was like the first one, and Roman Reis making his debut, picking up the wicket.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think that, again, a newcomer coming into the team and getting the new ball is something that you don't often see. So there's a lot of confidence in him. And this guy, this very first over, already in the action. It's unbelievable how much of a star he is. And I think he's definitely the spearhead of the attack. And a lot is on him. He's got a slight injury. I saw that in the game.
That was a
This
big
is
wicket.
the key wicket. This
Big
is
wicket.
the key wicket. And that's why you have a leg spinner. You know, someone who could bowl a half tracker, spin it away, and still get the batsman out, the best batsman in the world.
And he ended up 1 for 40 in 9 overs.
Yeah, because we all speak about maybe the spin factor. He spin with a difference. You know, the back of the hand stuff, the googlies, and all the stuff that can be tricky. You know, it's just a very, 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 very spirited performance. You look at this delivery again. In the right channel, good stuff.
And, you know, the bowler, Shadab, has shown that's a terrific catch. They took a couple of those in the outfield. Really good catch.
Spectacular.
But I've been impressed with Shadab's confidence in his own ability. But also, you've got to give some credit to the captain, who has shown also a lot of confidence in his leg spinner, and he's being repaid.
And he's only 18 years of age, so precocious.
I'll tell you
talent.
something, a mature 18.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at him in the field, and especially the way he bowls and the way he feels as well, because sometimes you get a little rashness at times when you are a youngster. But he looks like he's been there for quite some time.
Even getting run-outs, I mean...
Yeah, and that's from a substitute.
Yeah.
That's that. Someone who was in the team and now back out.
Chizaz has always been a great fielder anyway. You know, he's brilliant in the field. Good stuff, good stuff.
And the interesting part is, Viv, that Shadab is genuinely 18.
He's genuinely 18.
Yeah, he's genuinely 18.
Well,
He's a young kid.
I never really asked anything about that.
and again, he's bringing a lot of enthusiasm and energy to that team. Another good catch in the outfield. I mean, they're really, by this stage, they're really flying high with confidence.
What Pakistan shows me, that when they want to turn it on, they know the requirements. And certainly they brought the package here tonight. Wonderful.
So, Brian, do you think that England, they were well and truly surprised? Or they just, they had nothing to execute once the trail started?
Well, I don't know if they looked at any other games that Pakistan team played. The first 5 or 6 batsmen in the England team got a start. Everyone got a start and just couldn't carry on. Pakistan bowling in the middle overs must be the best bowling in the tournament so far, except for that game against India. And they're going to come up against a strong team, and hopefully whoever they meet in the finals, they just do that homework and they keep the intensity.
One got to remember also that England, sometimes they get themselves in wonderful positions. That we all say what a wonderful team they are. I just felt that they had the package for them to go all the way in terms of the ability which they had. But it goes to show you that there are times in certain situations like that, the semi-finals and finals like this, some teams sometimes take the gas.
All right.
And they did today.
But smart. It was very smart bowling by Pakistan. You know, and okay, Brian makes a good point in saying that the top part of the England order, they all got a start. You have a look at how they shut Stokes down. I mean, Stokes. I thought Stokes played pretty sensibly because. He kept waiting for someone to hang on with him at the other end, and he left it as late as he possibly could. In the end, when he was trying to belt them, they gave him nothing, and eventually hit one straight up in the air. Pakistan bowled very intelligently. They were captained intelligently. You know, I said this morning, the team, if the two teams are reasonably even in ability, the team that thinks the best for the longest will win. Pakistan thought very well for the whole, what was nearly 50 overs.
You may say Ben Stokes batted well, but I don't agree with that because he reminded me of Lance Clues now. I know he's got an amazing record, and I don't want to jump on top of him for just one performance, even though he batted 60 balls. But where were the singles? If you're batting at number 5, you've got to be able to turn over the strike. You put an extra 20 runs in singles, he could not get the ball to the left or the right of the field. So he was only concentrating on one thing. At some point in time, I'm going to explode. In the meantime, you have to pick up the singles, and you have to encourage your partner to do the same.
I still think
and
Pakistan didn't give him too many opportunities.
They were sitting back in the circle. He was pulling balls straight to mid-wicket, hitting hard shots to deep to cover, and not picking up anything.
But one got to remember also that when you look at the team that they played against today, they have been guilty for not turning the strike over. And I think that played seriously into the hands of Pakistan as well. When Ben Stokes felt he had an opportunity to score, they had the ball in right areas. And that particular shot itself, you can see he was totally not in control.
I would honestly like to see the newspapers about Ian Morgan. Are they going to take a turn in his tail? Because as a captain, that shot looked like if you still think you could make 325, 330, you can't just run down the wicket to a guy who has been so effective against left-handers around the ball and around the wicket, Hassan Ali. He just went down the wicket and gave away a partnership that could have put England anywhere above 275 or so, and that is terrible cricket as far as I'm concerned.
He would have paid the price before that in previous matches. He looked like he haven't learned from his past experience.
Against New Zealand.
Ian, one last thing before we take our first break for the night. As England came out, they had a definitive plan to bowl back-of-length deliveries against Fakhar Zaman, and exactly as you people were like contemplating in the pre-match that it could go either way, and the one top edge went for a 6, and then one good stroke, and they were on the roll. So do you think that they're bowling short pitch stuff at the very beginning of the innings, trying to intimidate the batsman, was like England went a little overboard?
I give a bit of credit to the batsman. I mean, you can't blame England for, I mean, I'd have been trying that tactic as well on what I saw in previous games. But I think you've got to give the batsman a bit of credit. It looked to me like he understood what was going to be coming at him. He didn't seem to be charging onto the front foot quite as quickly as he was previously. Maybe he did some work with some short pitch bowling, but it looked to me like he'd at least thought about what was going to happen to him, and he'd adapted a little bit. So give him some credit. But you can't blame England for going after him, because I think anybody who saw what he did previously would have been going after him.
But the start of the England bowling innings, they didn't quite get it right. They were all over the place. And I guess with that situation, it just helped or played right into Pakistani batsmen's hand.
But Morny Morkel bowled a slow ball and got him out caught slip. It wasn't a sharp short ball that he punched to square leg or something like that. So it was sensible bowling.
But the delivery preceding that, Morny Morkel's, it was like the one that hit him here.
A sensible ball got him out. He just pushed it out.
So we take our break, first break for the night. Game On. I will be back with Ian Chappell, Sir Vivian Richards, and Brian Charles Lara. Game On. Welcome back. You are watching Game On. And Ian, after a brief break, which lasted almost 12 minutes, we are back. Pakistan's resurgence during this ICC Champions Trophy, and let's hope that it's not flash in the pan the way they have come out and reached the finals. And with India doing emphatically well, Bangladesh qualifying, do you really think that it's now going to trigger a paradigm shift in world cricket? And it is healthier still for the world cricket to have the teams coming back? We have to wait for the West Indies now to return from where they really belong. So how do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, 3 out of the 4 teams in the semi-finals from Asia. Now it's the only 3 left are all from. So I don't know about a paradigm shift. I mean, India have been up there for a while. Pakistan have had their periods where they've played very well. But Bangladesh coming through is important for cricket. A new team up the top. And it's time for Bangladesh. I spoke before about what Sri Lanka did. 75 World Cup, non-test playing country. 21 years later, they won a World Cup. Bangladesh have been around for a lot longer than 21 years. So it's time that Bangladesh started to do this sort of thing. And like Brian said, it's no good just sort of getting to a semi-final, or even with Pakistan, getting to a final and thinking, we've made the final. That's terrific. Now you've got to go on and perform in the final and keep performing. And Bangladesh have got to do the same thing. But the good thing for cricket is that you've got a new team, as in you know, a team that hasn't been up to that level before in Bangladesh doing it. And that probably is inspiration to a team like Afghanistan, for instance, who they're a team that I really like their approach. You know, right from the start, when I saw them and spoke to them in the Caribbean to play in that T20 tournament,
Yeah.
and the players all said, we're not here just to make up the number, we're here to win. And I thought to myself, yeah, sure, that's fine to say that. But then when I saw them out on the field, they enacted that on the field. They weren't good enough at that stage to, you know, to have major upsets. But they're getting closer and closer all the time. And
Well, Ian, now one of their bowlers, again a 17-year-old wonder kid, right-arm leg break bowler Rashid Khan, he has now gotten into the top 10.
yeah,
Yeah.
along with Nabi.
Yeah.
Nabi's in the top 10 as well.
Yeah.
No, they, you know, the thing about it is that the skill is now starting to match their approach.
All right.
But the good thing was they had the approach first. That,
Okay.
you know, we're not here to just make up the number. We're not here to be chopped up by the big teams. We're coming here to give them a run for their money. So with that sort of attitude, if they can, you know, if they could match it with the skill they're starting to do, then Afghanistan could be the next team to start climbing the rankings, which would also be very good for cricket.
Okay. So women, if you want to add anything regarding this. And secondly, in case if we have, we could base it on the past records, if we have an India-Pakistan final at the Oval, so would it be like important for international cricket in this Champions Trophy? Because if you remember that this Champions Trophy was shelved, and this just returned, you know, a couple of years ago, and they decided instead of having another ICC World Cup, they wanted to move to one-day cricket, and England took the initiative and brought it back. So ICC had actually shelved this tournament. Do you think that, again, the business model is such that ICC Champions Trophy is not that proficient and attractive when it comes to the ICC tournaments for the governing body?
Let me first say from the question that you asked first, that Bangladesh and Pakistan would have overachieved in this tournament so far.
Right.
From past form, you know, and obviously for the position that they were in. It is great for Asia, and what I think is quite important as well too, not believing because of the fact that you overachieve. You've got yourself in a position, try and find ways and means how you're going to get yourself in a position for you to win.
Right.
That I think is going to be very important. What was the other question again?
The other question, I think this ICC Champions Trophy basically was shelved because it was not fitting in their ideal business model. And it was only England Cricket Board thinking that since they are going to be hosting the ICC World Cup in 2019,
England and Wales Cricket
England
Board.
and Wales Cricket Board, so they brought it back. And now the product was not that financially lucrative or attractive for the ICC. Do you really think that India meeting Pakistan in the final of this tournament at the Oval could regenerate its vitality and could bring it back to the fore?
Yes, especially because of the political reasons.
Yeah.
The two have been at it one way or the other, on and off the field, and it's a great occasion. And what I think is going to be important as well is that this whole tournament was played in England and Wales, and there's no team from that part of the world who's left in this competition. So I guess it will bring from both teams. That's if India gets into the final as well,
Yeah,
too,
of
because
course.
there's still one match left to go, and until that happens, then we can be able to let you know how things are going to pan out there after.
I haven't commented much. I've been not an advocate, but I welcome T20 cricket. But you saw this cricket game today. Watch the bowling.
Yeah.
You saw a guy bowling 10 overs in Hassan Ali. That's proper bowling.
Yeah.
You look at the T20 match, everyone is teeing off from ball one. Even Sean Pollock said it today, where, you know, isn't this an interesting game? Look, the ball is sort of dominating the bat. We're accustomed to people coming, and like if it's a driving range on a golf course and they're just smashing everything.
Yeah.
This was a proper cricket match, and I believe that now looking at it, the T20 cannot compare to anything that's longer than it, because you're just seeing guys coming out there and you know, we're not going to say here, but there are a few T20 stars, superstars, that can't even play. Forget Test cricket. They can't even play 50-over cricket. It's too long.
Yeah.
It's too much technique to play 50 overs.
Too energetic for them, I guess.
But this was a brilliant bowling performance, and I was really happy to see ball on top of bat today.
Okay.
What the ODIs does, it does give each and everyone an opportunity, especially if you're a slow starter. Brian mentioned it before, that guys come out in T20 and they're teeing off from the very first ball. You can afford to hang back a little bit as a batter in this particular tournament. Have chances in order for you to pick up at the back end.
Okay. Brian, another thing, like just before the tour, because of the political implications, India were ready to back out because they didn't want to play against Pakistan. And then, of course, their business commitments and their international commitments, and then it was sorted out, and they decided and said not happy with the share they will be getting from the ICC now. So it was like a bit of protest.
But how can India, in my opinion, make suggestions like that? They want to back out. There's a governing body that rules, or it is the constitution for cricket.
Yeah, but
you know, so that's pretty mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
When you're going to have a team saying that they want to pull out when they are ruled by a body.
Yeah, but they said that it is a legislative body and the governing body is their cricket board, which is BCCI. So they had this privilege that they could have avoided coming and playing the ICC Champions Trophy, and the problem was like their revenue being cut down to almost half. Now, India doesn't play Pakistan, the two teams not even the neutral venue other than the ICC. So do you really think that meeting twice in a tournament, if it happens, if India manages to beat Bangladesh, so is really going to help getting the resolve between the two boards, and this could actually be the first step towards the two teams playing more cricket?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think playing, meeting up in an ICC tournament, you got to meet up at some point in time. If the both teams haven't lost a game and they got to the finals, you're going to meet. This is going to happen. I think what is going to improve the relationship is if it is a must. If Test cricket becomes a league where the best teams play and they eventually meet at different stages, instead, what my career was based on, I don't know how Vivian is, they were all friendlies. You know, there's the Sir Frank teams versus Australia. We go over there for 5 Test matches, or we go for the West End in England, or you know, they had, other than stats, they had no real sort of meaning in terms, of course there's history and you're playing for the trophy, but I would like to see, like soccer, like any other sport, it's a crescendo. You get where the best two teams play. Yeah. So tournaments like this, India and Pakistan is going to meet on occasion, but I believe that if you really and truly want them to meet on a regular basis, you want the improvement in relationships, ICC has to demand that there is some sort of league that when they meet and they have to play against each other. They have to play in the UAE or they have to play in India, they have to play. But it's, you know, everyone could pick and choose who they want to play against and when they want to play and who is making more money for them.
That's behind the scenes where they've got to get it right in terms of that whole administrative factor. Behind the scenes. Those guys are doing their job. They're professional sports people. They are sports people. And whenever they're asked to do whatever, they all are friends. They all are good buddies at some point.
You're so right.
You know, they all are good buddies.
So right.
And I guess it's behind the scenes that all these things must take place in order for us to have some on it.
But so don't you think that there's a dichotomy that you could play in the ICC tournaments, but you can't play the bilateral series or even on a neutral venue?
It's weird. Weird. Very weird.
It looks weird.
Yes, it does, yeah. And I mean, Brian's right about the, you know, Test cricket. I mean, I don't know about the modern player, but if you said to me, would you rather be #1 on the computer, or would you rather play a final against another team to decide whether you're the best cricket team in the world? I'm going to take the match every time. I'd much rather, even if we got beaten in the final, I'd rather take my chances. #1 on the computer, that doesn't mean...
That's the Test matches.
Yeah. But if I get the opportunity to play in basically a World Cup final of Test cricket, well, you know, give me that every time.
There was talk about that for quite a long time, you know, and it hasn't really come to fruition. And I guess at some point, for you to have better relations well in terms of the issues
of
between
course,
India and
of course.
Pakistan.
Cricket has to
that
be the
could
winner.
That could be quite useful in the future.
Yeah, but Ian and Brian, if you remember that the Asian Cricket Council, they actually experimented, and an Asian Test Championship was arranged. One of the Test matches was played in Bangladesh venue then, because Bangladesh never had the Test status by then. And Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and India, they played there. But some of the itineraries, the slots were not available. It was more time consuming, a test match lasting 5 days, the 3 teams playing. So probably again that was dropped.
I wrote in 1991
about
having a World Test Championship. Now Jagmohan Dalmia, when he was the boss of Indian cricket, he got a group of us. There could easily have been 30 people around the table. A lot of ex-players, a couple of umpires, a couple of administrators, and we had 2 days in Calcutta, and we threw it around how could we best come up with a World Championship of Test Cricket. That would have been in 1999. In fact, Pakistan were playing India at Eden Gardens. That was the test where Pakistan was 6 for 24 in the first session and went ahead and won the test match. Right. So we were there during that test match having this meeting, and I'm sort of relying on memory a bit here, but I think in the end we came up with a plan that it would have been 65 days, and you could have played all the teams, each other, the fairest, which we all said was the fairest way. That like the World Cup that you guys played in '92 in Australia, where you had to play every team, right? And so if you won that World Cup, which is the one that Pakistan won, you had to play every team, which is probably the fairest World Cup that we've had. Anyhow, it was around about 65 days. I don't know what's happened to all the paperwork from that meeting, but I'd love to see it resurrected and go through it again. And even if you format, but if you have, you have the top 8 teams, you have, 4, east and west or north and south, divvy it up however you
just
like.
Like the FIFA thing.
Yeah, and you have the top teams from each division play off in the final.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Okay, and that could actually be the revival of Test cricket as well.
Sure. Well, it can't hurt it.
Yeah, of course. So now, sir, if you allow, Johnny Bairstow is queued, and we have to see his 43.
No.
But, sir, if you see Jason Roy's earlier part of the career, the way he started about 14, 15 months ago, he scored prolifically, be it against South Africa, against India. Yeah?
It's not how you start.
Yeah.
It's starting and finishing well also.
Okay. All right, all right. So now, and how did you see Joe Root? Was that the most crucial wicket Pakistan got? He got 46 and 56 deliveries, and in no time he actually raced to that 40.
Yeah, it was a very important wicket, because if Joe Root bats through, England are going to get a score that's going to give their bowlers a chance. So yes, a big wicket to get Joe Root, but the fact. I like the fact, and it showed you the difference in the game when you've got a bowling team that's trying to take wickets pretty well every ball. Yeah, and the batsman, okay, there was a little bit in the pitch that probably hasn't been there previously in the tournament. We've seen pitches that have been giving the bowlers nothing. There was a little bit of joy there for the bowlers. But I think the main thing was the approach of the captain and the approach of the bowlers. Take wickets. If you know as a batsman, if a guy is trying to get you out, batting is a hell of a lot harder than if they've just got the field spread and they're just trying to contain you. You know that you're well and truly in control, unless you do something stupid and just hand them your wicket, which is then you're in total control. It makes a hell of a difference if that guy is trying to get you out, and you can see a field placing that is telling you, hey, we're trying to get you out, not just stop you scoring runs. Batting batting under those circumstances is a hell of a lot harder.
And the fielders, they were brilliant in terms of the support factor. They were the support. They played the support role. And when you have guys who are bowling so well and are looking to take wickets, you need guys who are going to take catches. Not like what we saw with maybe the Pakistani batting innings, and we saw Pereira dropping that easy catch and things like that. That fielding unit gave 120% in terms of the support that they brought to the bowlers.
Brent, how could you explain that rush of blood the way Eoin Morgan tried? Because do you really think that it seemed completely out of context that the partnership had just started to build up? So was he really frustrated by the bowlers, or it just like it happened? It just happened.
Well, I mean, he did run down the wicket very early in his innings against Australia when the team was struggling. He got, I think, 70th or something in that game, and maybe he feels that you know, he could do it each and every single time. I just think there was not a real situation. The pitch, the bowlers to come, the effectiveness they had in the matches before. Hey, you know, we've already lost Joe Root. Let's sort of see if we can, you know, put in a new plan, get 275. Don't worry about the 325. Pakistan is a very fragile note, and he just sort of felt that, you know, I need to throw this guy off his line, and I'm going to go down the track.
So that was a preconceived, pre-motivated.
Yes.
Eoin Morgan is a player, in my opinion, the same as a Brendan McCullum.
Okay.
They go at you hard, and that's their style.
Yeah.
I don't think they have a second plan or a third plan.
Okay.
And we saw that. Even he was out, he was dismissed before that in that same sort of a fashion. The previous match came and tried the same thing. At times, especially when you are struggling, you need to just work it around a little bit. Sometimes just come out of your own style of play.
All right.
And that wicket itself was quite good at that particular time for Pakistan.
Well, Ian, now coming on to the England bowling, if you have Jake Ball and if you have Ben Stokes and Mark Wood and Liam Plunkett and, of course, Adil Rashid, do you think that 212 was not defendable?
Any score is defendable, but you've got to bowl very well. And, again, give credit to the Pakistan batsmen. They, you know, the left-hander, Farkar, I think he, as I say, I think he adapted to what he expected to get. So at least he had a plan in mind that this is what's going to come, this is how I'm going to try and tackle it. But yeah, I mean, you know, I keep repeating what Andy Roberts said. Doesn't matter what they bowl us out for, we'll bowl them out for less. That's the way you've got to approach it. 212, that's the target. We've got to keep Pakistan under that.
Okay.
But they, you know, they weren't capable of doing it today. For that, you've got to give Pakistan credit.
Okay, the England batting unit died. So you think that? So did it seem like that? So Webb says, Ben Stokes, was he deliberately into his shell, or like he just tried to consolidate?
He was forced into that position, and something that he hasn't been accustomed to for some time. I mean, they did find themselves in a spot of trouble against Australia, but immediately came out and he attacked and played a brilliant innings.
But why didn't he attack today?
Well, it's a maybe different condition, a used pitch. Bowlers were doing something special. We talked before the match about targeting players, and we always felt that Hassan Ali had to bowl to him very early. The leg spinner had to have an opportunity. Hafiz had to have an opportunity. Just sort of keep him quiet. Don't just bowl trundlers at him. Get guys who can actually put him under pressure, and he knows that there's a slip or two waiting down behind there. So he was sort of forced in that position, and of course losing wickets at the other end didn't help at all. You know, my only disappointment with him is that he didn't turn the strike over and keep, you know, the scoring rate going. He was sort of banging the ball straight to fielders. I mean, knew that if he had 18 or so balls and he in the last 3 overs and he got off, he can easily add 40, 50 runs. But that didn't happen.
The delivery which got him, which that short delivery, was in the perfect area. Because Ben Stokes is a good hooker. And he's an individual who will take you on every time. When you look at that particular shot, that ball was above his head. It was the perfect bouncer, and especially you have fieldsmen in such deep position, played right into the hands.
It was a two-pronged thing, I think, with Stokes. The bowling was very good, and again, Sarfraz, guys, you know, there was a slip there. Remember, he had a bat pad for Stokes when he first came in for the leg spinner for Shadab. And I think the other thing was the match situation. You know, every time there might have been an opportunity for Stokes to start to let loose, boom, England would lose a wicket at the other end. And it was take it a bit easy for a while. So I think it was a combined thing, the captaincy, the bowling, and the match situation.
All right.
There was also a verbal exchange between Imad and Stokes. I just wondered if he was targeted because he got the most short ball.
Yeah.
Right, they were peppering him with short. Guys waiting behind. I felt that if he had a go with it, it most likely would have cleared the boundary because he's such a strong guy. But they were very aggressive towards him with the ball, and guess what? Yeah. He bowled 3 overs for 38 runs. So they attacked him with the bat as well. So I don't know if that was plan coming out of the dressing room, but
he's a talisman for that team. And to be fair, in a big way, he's got a loud mouth as well in terms of what he brings, in terms of that aggression, and it'll play it all against him today.
Runs. So he has to keep the third man, and he has to see where he wants to go: fine leg, short, and deep backward square leg, or fine leg back. And that is always the thing. And the first ball went straight over the keeper's head. There were a couple that lobbed backward square leg that the fielder picked up on the bounce. I mean, early up, these things can go to hand, and then he doesn't look the same sort of player.
Yeah, like Ian, now how do you see Azhar Ali's effort today? 76 in 100 deliveries. Hit a 6 as well. Hit 5 fours.
I think it was a perfect situation for Azhar Ali today. With Pakistan having bowled England out cheaply, there was no real rush, and that suited his batting style perfectly. I mean, he's basically a Test match player playing 50-over cricket. I think he's made attempts to pick up his scoring rate, but today he only had one job, in my opinion, and that was to go out there and basically bat through until Pakistan got there. He didn't quite get that far, but he got them well on the way, and I thought the situation was perfect for him today.
All right.
Perfect guy to be in that position, because with such a and everyone knows about maybe Pakistan being unpredictable at times, he steadied the ship, in my opinion, big time, while the other guy, PAK, was going. And that, to me, even though he didn't take him home in the end or hit the winning run, that was well set up.
Yeah. Well, but where's that batsman gone? All of a sudden, that needed in 50-over cricket. Why? I mean, T20 you can understand, but in 50-over cricket, where's that guy gone? The guy who can hang around, Desmond Haynes, hang around, even Michael Atherton played limited overs cricket. And I'm very, very happy that Pakistan is stuck with him. They have Hafiz, they have guys there. Everybody, you look at all the teams, they got Warner and Finch.
Yeah.
India's got
Rohit Sharma and Shankar Dhawan.
Followed by the captain. They're all going at a pace.
New Zealand, Guptill and Luke Ronchi.
India, anytime India 2 or 3 wickets down and Yuvraj walking too early, they there's trouble. With Dhoni at number 5, that's an all-out attacking lineup. You get a couple of early bit of success, and they could be in trouble. I want to see that batsman come back, and I'm very happy that Pakistan is stuck with him. He may write off a score of 325 or whatever the case may be, but he's always going to put them in a good position. So, I mean, you need guys that are going to bat some balls in one-day cricket.
And you get to semi-finals and finals. If you can get 280 batting first, particularly with their bowling attack, you're going to win more than you'll lose in big games.
All right.
Every team needs an Azhar Ali.
Okay.
You do need... So
you endorse Azhar?
Oh, yeah, because it's a long enough version.
Yeah.
For you, there's enough balls there. Yeah. Brian said it earlier. In T20 cricket, there isn't enough 120 balls or whatever that you may have to face. ODIs, it's just like a mini test match. There's enough balls in order to play. And so long as you hang around and you can bat, you've got a perfect enough technique, you're going to do well.
See, you work it out. If he bats 50 overs, right, so what have we got, 300 balls?
Yeah.
Let's say he faces half of them, right? 150 balls. He scores at virtually 80 per 100, right?
He gets 100.
He's going to be over 100.
Yeah.
If he gets over 100, if the other blokes do their job at the other end, it's going to be a decent score.
Yeah. But how different a game it would have been if Bairstow throttled back and realised that, listen, I can bat through this innings and everybody bat around me. I've got Stokes, who I can't compete with when he's going. Bam! Caught deep backward square leg. It's impossible.
When you look at maybe a Bairstow, especially from the performance England would have had from a Jason Roy, I think he should have been much smarter in terms of his thinking, knowing what he was in there for at that particular time.
Okay.
Knowing that they didn't get much substance from a Jason Roy, maybe a bad shot to have played that time.
All right. If you could see Azhar Ali scoring that 76 in 100 deliveries, 5 falls and a 6.
You know, we're not nervous about this chase. We're not, oh hell, you know, we're going to fight and scrap our way to this total. Bang, it's a short ball. Bang, I'm going to put it away. That sends a message to your opponents. You better bowl well, otherwise we're looking to score off you.
A couple impressive things that happened as well. I think Fakar hits a big shot, and the next ball he dropped on the stump and they ran a single. And that's something that you don't see with a pay out in the middle. And I felt that they thought about it and knew that, okay, guys are going to be sitting back on the circle for Fakar. There's an opportunity to pick up some quick singles, which they did.
That's one thing I noticed about Azhar Ali in Australia in that Test series. Yeah, little things he did differently each time he batted, which told you that he was thinking about his batting and trying to improve it. And I think he's definitely made an attempt to try and pick that part of his game up in one-day cricket.
Well, Ian, just to wrap it up, a little toughie for you. Like, we have had a couple of former players, those who their careers lasted 20 years, whether should have lasted for 20 years or not, and then they used to go and issue the press statements that there's not enough talent in Pakistan. So now you have seen that if they weren't around, the guys getting the opportunities, they have showcased it well. So do you think that such a thing actually hurts the integrity and the making of a team?
Well, I mean, who are the people saying that there's not enough talent around?
Shahid Afridi did that. I could name. I could name.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I could name him.
Shahid Afridi was a very aggressive cricketer, but I saw Shahid Afridi do some cricket field that were pretty stupid. So, I haven't got much faith in that comment either, because, I've seen Pakistan cricket over a long, long period, and skill has never been Pakistan's problem. The out cricket, running between wickets, fielding, that has been a problem. But the actual bowling skills, the batting skills, that's never been a problem. And Viv knows better than me, because he's seen the PSL, and Viv's saying, there's some talent there.
There's a lot of talent,
Yeah.
not just in the PSL itself. I can remember when we used to come to Pakistan on a regular basis, it's always given us a hard fight, away from home and at home.
Right.
And we have always felt that it was maybe the backroom staff or some folks not quite getting it right, spotting these talents, because Pakistan have always had talent, not just with bat, with ball, brilliant spinners. Would have had the opportunity of playing against maybe an Abdul Qadir and people like that. So it goes to show you, it's an abundance of talent. I'm not quite sure at times whether folks, who are involved in helping to pick these guys get it right on occasions.
Spot on.
And the other really good thing about Pakistan cricket is that their attacks, their types of bowlers are the types of bowlers who will succeed all around the world, because they've always produced quickies. Going back to my first test in '64, big Farouk, I think it was, that got me out in the first
Farouk
test.
And Arif Bhatt.
He was pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Big guy and pretty sharp. So they've always had fast bowling, and they always seem to come up with wrist spinners, leg spinners, lots of wrist spinners. That's not a bad start for winning all round the world. It's not just for winning in Pakistan. You come to Australia with good quickies and good wrist spinners, as long as your batsman can fire, you're a big chance to win in Australia.
Yeah.
I mean, every given replacement in this Pakistan team in this tournament performed better than the person they were replacing. Every single one.
Absolutely.
Even today.
Absolutely.
I mean, Mohammed Amir we have a lot of respect for, but that guy, Reyes, today performed excellently. I mean, to be given that opportunity, a newcomer, a debutant.
Yeah, debutant. He was playing his first one international.
You may say that Pakistan, in all departments today, they were on point.
Okay. Now, one last thing, because you have captained your respective teams and captained it well. We saw Misbah al-Haq, one of the better Test match captains. He has the best record in the history of Pakistan as a test match captain. But in one days we saw that the approach changed. It was not the fiery Pakistanis playing one-day cricket, and some or the other they had become a little, a bunch of players vulnerable and reluctant. And then we started going down, and we hit our lowest ebb at number 9. That they just got up, and now they're number 8, and now obviously they'll be vying for the number 7 slot the way they have produced these 3 results. Sarfraz Ahmed, so do you think that a captain could turn it around so quickly, the mindset, the attitude, and make them fight on the field? Just like that?
I mean, if
the
guys,
same stock Misbah was using was not producing results.
But guys are being utilised. Their assets are being utilised properly now. You know, and so that makes them feel freer. I mean, Fakar, he's obviously been told, right, mate, go out there and play your natural game. If somebody else is telling him, oh, you've got to see us off to a steady start, then he's not playing naturally. So you get a captain who, and Sarfraz is an aggressive player, and I'm delighted to see that he's captaining in the same mode that he plays the game, plus the enthusiasm that he brings there. I think what he's done is what a smart captain should do, which is say, right, what are the assets I've got here and how can I best utilise them? And then he's gone to the guys and said, right, this is the job I want you to do. And sure, that can turn things around. And then you get that energy and enthusiasm that comes from youth.
Yeah.
Boy, that can turn things around.
Okay.
Oh, and sorry to
sir.
keep going on, but the quickest way to turn a team around is a good attack. You can build a good cricket team very quickly on the basis of a good attack. Good attack will get you there quite quickly.
Yeah. Sir, since you have been with Quetta Gladiators and Sarfraz the Safi is your captain, another thing which we used to see when Misbah was leading the charges, that they needed to tie down the batsman and wait for the batsman to make mistakes. And the field setting was very defensive. But do you really think that Sarfraz has again changed it around by providing the adequate resource to his bowlers when it comes to the field employment and placement?
Every leader does have a difference in terms of what they bring
definitely.
To the team. What I know, Misbah is the sort of laid-back sort of individual, Mr. Cool on the stool, as he could be called. But when you look at Sarfraz, he's an individual who looks like he's thinking out of the box on every occasion.
Right.
And his body language does bring that. I was quite privileged to share the dressing room, and just his thought process, he'll come and he'll ask various questions about what he should do. And every time he's on point with what he wants to get done. And what I think he needs at times is to be given that encouragement in order to accomplish what he can accomplish. And I think it's a good choice. It's a good choice, in my opinion, moving forward. Remember, at first he was just a wicketkeeper. Then he became the T20 captain. Then he was elevated to the one-day captain.
May well be the test captain.
So you never know. It's that sort of enthusiasm that you need in a leader who thinks out of the box every time.
So, Brian, if you could wrap it up for us.
Regarding the captaincy of Pakistan?
Regarding everything, Pakistan beating England massively.
I'm not going to attack Misbah, that's for sure, because I think
he was a great test match captain.
He just won for the first time in the West Indies, and that's a wonderful achievement. He's been pretty good for Pakistan cricket.
Definitely.
What we're seeing now is youngsters getting the opportunity, some by default, by injury, and they're taking it and they are actually playing good cricket. And a captain is only as good as his team. And with his bowling attack, if you're a defensive captain, I don't think it complements the bowlers. They need a couple slips here and there. They are wicket takers even in the middle of the game. Hassan Ali proves that, and the entire bowling attack proves that. And they have done well. I just hope that they can go right through and win this whole thing.
All right. And thank you very much, Ian. And before we leave, just for break, we owe loads to Misbah because he became the captain by default at a time when Pakistan were going through the most abysmal period, the 3 of their top players being caught in spot fixing. So he wasn't he wasn't the man captaining Pakistan. He was the one marshalling his resources and trying to, self-esteem and making them feel that they were the Pakistanis, they were out there, they have to play, they have to leave that horrendous thing behind. So probably a great manager, and yes, his contributions are enormous for Pakistan.
It brought a calmness.
Yeah,
to
it was the
Pakistan
calmness
units,
that steadied
because
it.
I think what you were going through at that particular time, Misbah did a magnificent job.
So he
because
mentored people.
one's got to remember as well too that the last captain that I think, successful captain that Pakistan had, he was highly respected. I think the guys brought that same attitude to Misbah as well.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Ian. Thank you very much, Vivian. And of course, it's a pleasure to have you. And we will be back tomorrow discussing another big semi-final or a semi-final. Bangladesh versus India. Big or
Big.
big? A big semi-final. And that's all from our English version. We'll take a 20 minutes break and we'll be back with our Desi Babus, as I call them. And we'll be having our game on. And of course, loads to share about how Pakistan won today.